60% of the movie was shot on the Red camera, and the rest was shot on the Sony EX1 and some JVC prosumer cameras. And this shot in particular consisted of the stand-ins walking around, and we were responsible of kind of painting them out and cleaning up the scene before we can comp in the CG aliens. So over here I have a Nuke script, which is the script that we use to paint them out. And basically it's using Nuke's 3D capabilities to map it on. And what we did was we basically tracked it using a combination of PF-Track and Buju, and then simply exported that camera into Nuke and started to work on our clean plate process. And essentially in Nuke it's quite simple. It's just a plate and the camera projections happening on the plate, and you start off with just loading up here, and then you basically have the beginnings of a clean plate for the cleanup. And if I view the shot here, whoops, you can see it's kind of plays out like so. So from there we ended up having a clean plate that looked like this. So once we had the clean plate, all our animation was done in Maya. We did a combination of rotomation and keyframe animation, and some motion capture work as well. So most of that was done in Maya, and we rendered it out using 3D Delight as our program, and lit and then comped in Nuke, and you have a final shot that kind of looks like this. So we had 311 shots to comp and complete for the show. And this was basically the general kind of pipeline we used to do the clean plate work. And then from there, we went on to comping the alien. Basically, the approach at Image Engine was to, we rendered out everything out as 16-bit float passes, EXRs. And we decided to render out all the passes as individual AOVs from 3D Delight. So we have something like the beauty pass here, we have diffuse, color passes, and basically in Nuke we created a script, a template, where the artists can kind of import this template into Nuke and just replace it with their shots, with their scene renders. So this is basically an example of one of the scripts here, and I can show you the quick time of the final shot over here. So basically here's the shot. So this is basically the shot. This was shot on the Sony EX1, and I can show you the original plate, which looked something like this over here. So we had, this was Jason, one of the main actors that were doing the stand-in work. So this is what was shot with us on the EX1, cleaned it out, and then put the alien guy onto it. So from there, we can go on to showing some of the cool tools that we developed at Image Engine, and how they kind of played an important role to help the compositors comp the shots and make things a little easier for us. So here we have another shot of an alien hanging around. So this is the beauty pass here. And we also rendered out some usual layers. We had rendered out a normal pass, an ST or a UV pass, and an interesting pass called the position pass. And basically what the position pass is it's a floating point image where each pixel of the image represents an XYZ coordinate in world space. So this particular pass basically has points on it which says where it lands in world space. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of use this pass and develop it. And our lead R&D programmer, John Hatton, developed a tool called the point cloud tool. And basically it's using the position pass and our beauty pass. You can click on that and view it in Nuke. It kind of just shows the power of Nuke. And we have a 3D representation of our alien. So this isn't geometry or an FBX or an OBJ file. It's actually just a point cloud system used from the position pass here and the beauty pass to kind of map it onto. So it's a really cool way to get the world space equivalent of the model in Nuke, and it really interested me in how we could use this and develop it further. And something we really want to push quite a bit, which I really like to do, is to get more of the lighting side happening in Nuke and have the compositors start to light shots a bit more and tweak things a bit more. So we had our point cloud system, and we also had, Nuke standard point lights, which kind of interact with the point cloud quite well. And again, John wrote this really interesting program called a relight tool, which takes in the position, the UV pass, and the normal pass. And we are starting to get into shader development, which I think is another interesting thing that's happening in compositing. So one shader that we thought we'd write is one on specular, because the director usually calls to make the alien more shiny and wet, and the usual the notes. So we made a little specular shader, and we plugged it into our relight tool. And basically what that enabled us to do is to start to relight the alien in Nuke. And if I split this up into two views, and I view this as my 3D view here, and then there's the alien. So there's my alien there, and here's my 3D representation. And it really helped the compositing artist to kind of a 3D representation of the alien and use the lights in Nuke. And all of a sudden what we could do was start to interact with this and get, a specular pass that the compositor could use. So if the director called for more spec in a certain way, they didn't have to go back to 3D and back to the comp app or the 3D application. We could do it all in Nuke. So it was really exciting to do that, and we have our little shader here that we could start to play around with, make it more shiny, and play with the colors if we wanted to change the colors and stuff like that. So that was sort of an interesting development, and we're developing more shaders that we could use in Nuke to kind of take the burden off 3D a little bit. Another pass that was quite interesting is a pass called the preference pass. I can close this. This is sort of similar to the position pass, except the points are now stuck on the alien, so they travel along with them. So they're kind of points that are localized to the alien's body. And we developed another tool, the R&D, John wrote another tool called the Radial 3D tool. And if I view that, it's got a couple of controls here. And basically what it allows me to do, if I close this, it lets me pick a point on the alien's body and start to move things around. So I can kind of make things travel around. So you can see that. So basically we could use this to pick points on the alien and basically create mats for ourselves. So you can notice I have a point here selected, and then if I basically look at that here and scrub through the frames, and I'm not doing any rotoing here, you can see that this kind of localized mat is moving around with the alien. So it's really cool to be able to pick parts of the alien and start to create mats. The compositors can make their own mats and develop them as they went. So it's really cool. And then, what we could do is, a lot of the notes was to add more specular around the neck area. We could basically go ahead and kind of have the compositor add that in himself and kind of tweak the shot himself and play with the roughness and so forth. So it's a really cool way of starting to integrate Nuke's 3D along with the render passes and really coming up with a quick look.